everyone, welcome back to your Not So Ordinary Scrapbook channel. Today I thought that I would get on here real quick and film a video. I haven't filmed one in a while. In about a week and a half maybe. I have that one day that I filmed a video, my last video, I scrapbooked for a couple hours. So I got quite a bit done that day, and then it was like over the weekend, I think. Excuse me, I'm just getting over a cold. So I think it was over the weekend. So I scrapbooked for a few hours that day. I think it was a Saturday. And then on Sunday, I also had some time to scrapbook. So I'm going to show you the layouts that I completed. And then hopefully I have enough room on my camera to do a process video. So I'll just get started with the layouts that I completed so far. This is for my 2023 December daily album. I think I got up to, what day did I get up to? Let me look real quick. So I got up to day 19. So that was pretty far because I started at day 13. So I did get pretty far on my process. So day 13, for my birthday every year, Scott usually takes me somewhere like about every, let's see. Well, the last time we went up to Chicago was my 50th birthday. So about every 5 or 6 years we go up to Chicago, or we go somewhere, and then he likes to Christmas shop, and he's kind of a different kind of guy where he really likes to shop and do all that kind of stuff that like women like to do mostly. I'm kind of the opposite, but I do like going to Chicago every once in a while and looking at stuff. I love Christkindl Market, and that's one place that I definitely like to visit every so many years. So that's fun. But it's just kind of like a weekend getaway. I think next time we talked about going to St. Louis. We haven't really toured St. Louis without the kids. We've done it a couple times with the kids, and it was a lot of fun when they were younger. I don't know. So there's a couple other places. We also like to go to Starved Rock. That's another place that we've gone several times. And then one place we've never gone to is Galena. So that's kind of on our bucket list as well to go see. So for one of these like birthday excursion things. And it's kind of both of our birthday thing, because his birthday's in October and my birthday's in November. So we kind of like combine it. We don't really buy each other presents. We just kind of like do this thing, and then we go Christmas shopping, and we eat out, and we stay at a hotel, and it's just kind of like this weekend thing that we do. One year on my 50th birthday, we went to a Broadway show in Chicago, and that was really fun too. So here we are on our way to Chicago, and we stopped at this restaurant. We looked up on like the best restaurants on the way to Chicago or whatever. We Googled it, and like for breakfast, and this place popped up as like the number one, and it was called the Blossom Cafe, And so we stopped there and we ate breakfast, and it was true to its word. It was a very delicious breakfast. And then here we are the next day at Christkindl Market. I thought these paper stars were really pretty. We also got some ornaments. We bought an ornament for Matt and Yessie's dog. They have a husky, and so we bought a husky ornament for them. And we bought a baby ornament for Corbin's first Christmas, and we also got a new pickle because our pickle that we had bought here 6 years ago last year was really faded, like almost, it was so old. So we bought a new pickle for our tree, and we do that tradition where you find the pickle and then that person gets to pick the first present on Christmas morning. So that is this layout. And then I just put a fun time with you, and then I'll just like journal about like downtown Chicago. And this is kind of around the area I was this summer with the YMCA. We went to the ice cream museum, and it's kind of around here in this general area, and that was really fun too. I'd really like to take my grandkids to that someday, because that was a lot of fun with that group of kiddos. Okay, so this one is at Christkindl Market. It just says Dreaming and Doing Traditions, Princess, and then here's a little girl and a deer. Looks like Christmas, and they sell mulled wine in these like cups, and every time we go, we always get cups. Scott usually gets they usually have two different styles, and Scott gets one style and then I get the other style, and then we have one of each of the cups. And then you pay for the cup, but you also get like a drink in it, and you can get mulled wine or you can get hot chocolate. I don't like the mulled wine, so I always get the hot chocolate and a gingerbread cookie. So that was fun. Here's a picture of me burying the cold. It was quite cold that day, so I'm like all bundled up with gloves and all that stuff. And then here is Scott with his cup at Christkindl Market. I decided to make a little shaker for this one that says Jingle All the Way. I like to use these little small frames for like homemade shakers. And then I just put like a little sequin mix in there. So I have some candy canes and some snowflakes and some big snowflakes and some beads and sequins and all that kind of stuff in here. And then I just kind of make a little shaker thing. I also put, okay, so here's Scott drinking his hot cocoa because he doesn't like mulled wine either. And then for lunch, we had German bratwurst with sauerkraut and spicy mustard, and then German potato soup. And those were delicious. Very good. So I grew up in northern Wisconsin, and you always eat sauerkraut on your brats in Wisconsin. That's the Wisconsin way of doing it. You put it on your hot dogs too. It's just kind of a condiment but I grew up in a German area of Wisconsin, so that kind of makes sense. So, here we are, the next day. We didn't end up staying downtown this time. We ended up staying outside the city. We have stayed in the city before, and parking is really expensive. You have to pay for parking even though you are staying at the motel. And so it's really expensive to park. But not only that, it's just the hotels are much more expensive too. And we kind of wanted to save our costs because we're doing Christmas shopping. So we wanted to have more money to Christmas shop with. So we decided to stay outside the city, and we ended up staying in Elmhurst, and we stayed at a really nice hotel. It was really nice. It had a pool, and It was really decent. I can't remember the name of it, but it was a nice hotel. And then, so here's a picture of Trump Tower. That's kind of the vicinity we were at. We went to Macy's, downtown Macy's, and they have all the all the Christmas windows. So that's kind of fun. I took pictures of all of that, but I didn't include it in my December daily. And then here's Scott with all of our packages. We're leaving for the hotel. That's all the stuff that we bought. We got all the kids taken care of at Macy's. That's one thing that I love about Macy's is a lot of their stuff is really expensive, but their clearance sales are ridiculous. I mean, they are cheaper than Walmart. So you're able to get a whole lot of stuff for not that much money. I think we paid for all of this less than $200. It was nice. It was really nice. And we got all the kids taken care of, all the grandkids. And we have 7, but so we were buying last year for 5 grandchildren, and that was quite a lot. And then also the kids too. We also bought stuff for the kids as well. Day 16 is my son Matthew's birthday, and he turned 31 last year. And this is his wife, Yesenia. They just had a baby in August, Aria, and late August actually. And she was born prematurely, so she was born August 12th, and she wasn't due for a few more weeks. So, but Yesenia's favorite music group growing up, she's Hispanic, was RBD, and so she likes to listen. One of the RBD songs they had played at their wedding, I think it was one of their first songs that they danced to too. And then when all of us walked out of the ceremony, they played an RBD song too. So Yessie is all into dressing up for all these events. I think they went to, what else did they see? I can't remember. Oh, they saw Ariana Grande, and then she dressed up like Ariana Grande, and she likes to dress Matt up too, and he doesn't mind. He loves it. So she bought them RBD coats and ties and all that stuff. So they all look the part. So that was cool. She was so excited because I guess RBD broke up years ago, and then they got back together for another tour, and she was freaking out because that was her favorite group growing up as a kid. So I decided to use those photos for that, for his birthday. And then this sticker fell off. I think it goes here. There we go. I may have to glue that down. It doesn't want to stick. Okay, so this says Mornings with Corbin. And last year in December, I was babysitting Corbin pretty much all the time. I was babysitting him full time because I worked at night, and then I was also going to school. I didn't really tell anybody that I was going to get another degree just because I felt like when I did it before, I was bragging, and people were getting annoyed with me because I was like, oh, look at me, look at my grades, look at this, look at that. And I don't like it when my sister does that. And so, when she does it a lot on Facebook, she'll post every highlight of her life and everything like that. And it kind of gets on my nerves, especially because she was going to college too and getting her master's degree. So she was posting stuff all the time. And it kind of just was I don't know. I didn't like it, and I don't know why I didn't like it. It just bothered me. It kind of bothered me because my parents would comment on hers she was all that and stuff, and they're barely comment on mine, or they would say stuff I don't know. the dynamic is different between them and her and me, them and me. And I think it's just because I'm the oldest and they're so critical of me. They're very into micromanaging my life, but they're not as micromanaging with my sister's life, if that makes sense. And I'm not exactly sure why. But it's always been that way ever since we were kids. And so it just got really tiresome. So I stopped following certain members of the family because it just got tiresome just seeing this in my face constantly. Just I felt like I was being pushed. I don't know. I felt like I wasn't in competition. I'm not a person who likes competition, but I felt like I just felt icky about the whole thing. And so this time around, I was like, I'm not going to do it. I'm just not even going to tell anybody except for my family. My family knows. And actually, it just kind of went smoother, and I stopped following certain people on social media that were triggering and stuff like that. And I was just like, I'm just gonna just power through this, get it done, and then, and I did, and so I technically graduate October 14th, but I'm pretty much done. So, but yeah. So anyways, I was doing all of that and watching Corbin too, his first year of his life, or his mom works at a school. And she's actually going to school too for her bachelor's degree. And, so I would watch him in the morning, and here he's probably, December, he was born in September. So October, November, December, he was about 3 months old here. So I started watching him when she went off of maternity leave, and then I watched him until the end of the school year. And now her mom watches him because my career is starting, and I have things that I have to do, so I can't watch him. So this is Visitors Holiday Magic. So I decided to do this one on day 18 because this is my nephew and godson, David. This is my brother-in-law, Dan. And then this is Ethan, of course. Dan and David stopped by to visit. They had a relative pass away up in Wisconsin. And my sister had some stuff going on, so she had to fly home. And then Dan and David drove back from Wisconsin because he grew up with me. He's actually a year younger than me, and my sister is a couple years younger than me. So it's so funny that I knew Dan before she did. And I kind of she was having problems with boyfriends and stuff like that. And one day we're just sitting in the living room, and my sister and I didn't always get along. We're just kind of I don't know. We've always had this dynamic where we just kind of we love each other. She makes me laugh like nobody else. I love her dearly, but we get on each other's nerves, and maybe all siblings do at times or whatever. But there's certain things about me and certain things about her that just don't mesh all the time. I mean, sometimes they do, but sometimes they don't. But so she was complaining about all these guys in our town and how they were just she didn't like them and there was nobody good and all this stuff. And I'm like, I know a guy who's good. And she's like, who? And I said, Dan Bessert. And she's like, who's Dan Bessert? And I said, oh, he's so fun. You should really try to find him because he is the nicest guy in the whole school. And I said, he's everything that you are looking for. And I already had a boyfriend at the time, so I was but so I was like, you need to ask your friends about him. He's a couple years older than you, and and all this stuff, but you need to find this guy. And so she's like, okay, well, I'll look around or whatever. And she did. And my gosh, they have been married for over 30 years. It's so funny that like I kind of like told her to find him because he was like the nicest guy in town. So that's their backstory. And they have 5 kids and all that stuff. This is our cat. We call him FB. Ethan named him Butter. He was missing for like 2 years. Like, he was an indoor-outdoor cat. He would take off. We wouldn't be able to find him or whatever. And last year on the 18th, he showed up at our door, like, wanting to come in. And it was so funny because I really don't like this cat at all. So his nickname is FB, which the last word is buckets. The first word is the F word. And that's, you know, so instead of saying the F word, we just call him FB. But so he just kind of like showed up, and we hadn't seen him in a couple years, and we were pretty excited about it. We brought him in. He didn't like being in. So we ended up letting him back out after like a few days. We tried keeping him in, like, and he doesn't like to be in. So we see him every once in a while. He comes back to visit, but we thought it was funny that he came back and visited us for the holidays. We think that he stays around our neighborhood. I think that like everybody, like, we put food outside for him, but, he just doesn't like to be indoors. So, and we live far enough out that it's not that big of a deal. Somehow I am missing an E. This is supposed to say seeing Santa. I lost an E somewhere. I'll have to find it. This day, Ethan, our youngest son, flew to see Matt and Yessie for about a week. And we needed to pick him up at the airport in Chicago. And Hunter and Jordan had Esme for the weekend. And we thought, why don't we stop at the mall? Because Ethan's plane didn't get in until like 9 p.m. And so we're like, let's stop at the mall and we'll take the kids to see Santa, like, on the way to pick Ethan up from the airport. So we went to the mall that's by the airport. I can't remember the name of that mall, but it's a really big one. Really busy during the holidays. It's not one that has like gone, you know, to ruin like most malls have. It's a big shopping mall. And so we saw Santa, and so that was fun. And you know, this was kind of like Hunter's first time taking Esme to Chicago, so that was fun. Corbin was 3 months old, and then they had Kason too, and then Jordy. And so they have their hands full with their family of 4 right now. And then here's a picture of me and Esme. And then they had this thing when we went to see Santa that, the whole theme of the whole Santa experience at the mall was a snow globe. And so you got to go inside of a snow globe, and there were like activities for the kids inside the snow globe, and you had to go through the snow globe to see Santa. So, here, the line was really long to see Santa. So Scott and Hunter went to Starbucks, which was like it was just right outside of where Santa was, and got a Starbucks. And this is a chai tea latte, which is my favorite Starbucks drink. And Esme and Kason drink it all. Like, I probably had 1 sip of this drink. So I took a picture of her drinking my chai tea latte, and here they are in their double stroller, and I'm pushing them. We're leaving the food court. That's where we ate dinner. And then there's Ethan. Scott and Hunter ran to get Ethan at the airport because, like I said, the mall is real close to the airport. So they ran to get Ethan while we ate at the food court with the kids. So that's kind of what we did on that day. And that is as far as I've gotten so far. So those are all my all my pages. And after this album is done, I put it in this big basket, and then I don't really look at it until the holidays. Like, all of my albums, they just go in this big basket. In the living room, they're kind of, it's like a big buffalo check red flannel basket, and it just kind of sits on top of one of my glass shelving units. And then at Christmas time, then I just take it down, and then people can look through it if they want. They can like find an album and look at it if they want. Usually they look through it when, like, Jordan likes to see all the old, but you know, when someone new comes, they have a boyfriend or girlfriend, and then, you know, well, not boyfriend but girlfriend, and so then when they come, then you know, they want to show them old pictures and stuff, and so it's kind of neat. I put recipes in here sometimes, and so sometimes I'll go through and find old recipes that I want to use for the new year or whatever. So that's kind of fun as well. Okay, so the next pictures I am going to scrapbook are of, well, let's see. That was a craft we made. This was out shopping with the kids. And then here's Corbin's. I think I'll put this one on this side. This is Corbin's where he's 3 months old. So that'll go here. And then this, we went out to breakfast in Bloomington, and we went to a couple department stores. We went to Target, and then we went to a couple stores in that area with Hunter and Jordan, and we picked out a few things, and we put those on Jordan because Jordan needed like something to wear for his Christmas program, like a Santa hat or glasses or something like that, and we thought those were cute, so that's what we ended up getting him for his Christmas program. And Esme was with us too, and that was the hat that she liked. She found, she's big into Minnie and Mickey Mouse. She loves Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. That's one of her favorite shows. They used to be really into Cocomelon, and there's just been a lot of controversy with Cocomelon lately, and so we don't know if it caused Kaysen's autism or not. Kaysen has autism. He was diagnosed with autism the beginning of the summer, and he has been addicted to Cocomelon. Well, then we've kind of been researching, and now they're saying that Cocomelon is linked to autism because of like all the graphics are like super they are super fast, and that's a little dot, which is not healthy for kids apparently, from what I understand, little kids. So we don't know. I mean, I doubt it. But when he was little, like when he was a year old, he was verbal. He could say, like, he was saying mama, dada then. And he's really smart. Like, he can really do a lot of things. He's just nonverbal. And he will be 3 in December, late December. But he's doing better. He's learning signing, but he's not talking. But he can do puzzles, and he's in therapy and all that stuff. So, I mean, I don't think that it's something that is. I think he's going to be high functioning. And hopefully, with speech therapy and everything, he is saying some words now, so we're very hopeful that like he will progress, and like it will be like a mild form of autism. But so many people are on the spectrum. I mean, I have been told that I am on the spectrum, so like, but I don't even know. Like back when I was in school, it wasn't like really, it wasn't something that they ever tested you for, or, especially if you were like if you were high functioning and, you did well in school and you didn't, it was just not, you were just kind of a quirky kid. And I was definitely a quirky kid. But I remember being very adamant about like, and I guess I'm still that way about certain things, like smoking was a big thing. Oh my gosh. Like I was so against smoking in high school. I'm not even kidding you. Like none of my friends could smoke. Like you could not be my friend if you smoked. I was so against it. And I was against partying, and I don't know. A lot of people called me a goody two-shoes, but I really wasn't. I just was like, I was very intense. I was a very intense kid. And I'm kind of an intense adult too. Like if I am very passionate about something, I kind of don't quit about it. But that's just who I am. So, whereas some people can let things go, I am a person who has a lot of difficulty letting things go. But like I said, back when I was in school, if you got good grades, and no matter how intense you were or whatever, I mean, I don't remember getting in trouble in school. I don't remember having outbursts in school. I remember having outbursts with friends in school. Just if I didn't feel like something was fair, I would get angry. But I wasn't, the type of person that ever got in trouble at school. I mean, in high school, I never got a detention or suspension or anything like that. Even in grade school, I just never got in trouble that way. I think most of the time because when I got mad, I was justified. But definitely, it wasn't until later on in life that questions arose, like, do you think you're autistic, or do you think that you have autism, or do you think you're on the spectrum? And I'm like, I don't know. And then when they were like, they decided to do like they're like, can we like do an evaluation and stuff like that? And they did. And, when you're an adult and you're diagnosed with something like that, it's It's kind of freaky. I mean, it doesn't change my life at all. I mean, I just am who I am, you know. So I'm hopeful. It's just that now, nowadays we have so much more information than we did back then. And, accommodations. I probably could have used accommodations as a kid. There are things that probably triggered me more. And that's probably why my sister and I had so much difficulty growing up. Was because I always felt like everybody was picking on me. My parents especially. They would make me do things, and when they knew that, like, I felt sick, I had a lot of allergies growing up, and so like, they would make me work in the garden, and I was highly allergic to weeds, and so, like, my arms would just I would be covered with rash. They would be itching like crazy. My eyes would be watering and all puffy and everything. And I would tell them, I need to go inside and sit down. And they'd be like, no, you have to stay out here. And, you're fine. There's nothing wrong, and it would just, I always thought that they were mean because they just weren't very kind to me because of all of my things. And I would literally scream. Like, I would literally come unglued during those times because I just did not know how to control my anger, when I felt like I was treated unfairly. And that just was like, it made growing up really hard in my household because I grew up in a home where my parents were very, very young, and and I was the oldest child, and so, like, I was the guinea pig, and their expectations for me were always so much higher than I feel like anybody else in the family. I almost felt like I had to be perfect in order to, like, be worthy of their love or whatever. And sometimes I still feel that way. I still feel like, like, I was talking to both of my sisters when we were driving up to Yessie's baby shower in, what was it, July? I guess it was in July, or no, June or July, something like that. I can't remember exactly. But I flew into Phoenix, and I didn't know that Jenny was going to come. I didn't expect her to come to the baby shower, but I flew to Phoenix. My sister Ann picked me up, and then we drove up to the baby shower together, and, like, we got in these, like, sisterly discussions, apparently, where, like, I told them, I'm like, I always felt like Mom and Dad picked on me more, than anybody else. And Jenny's like, no, you weren't picked on more than anybody else. And I'm like, I still am. I'm like, they still do stuff, like, to me. They still say things. Like, I feel like I have to be perfect all the time. And that's part of the reason why I had to start unfollowing family members too, like, on social media, is because that whole perfectionist thing, like, is a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure that I can't handle. And I know what I can handle. So it's like, when you have that, like, every single time I would post, like, my grades last time, they would, like, comment and say stuff like, like, you've got this, you I don't know. Some of the stuff just rubbed me wrong. It just rubbed me wrong because it was like, I felt pressure, like a lot of pressure to be perfect. And I fight that every day anyways. It's just something that is in me that and it's always been in me since I was a little kid, that I just had to be this perfect person, and it's impossible. Perfection is like impossible, and I know that, but trying to tell your head that, when you feel a certain way it's not always easy, because you get frustrated and it's just not always easy. And you tell your parents stuff, like, you're like, well, like when Ethan was diagnosed with Ehlers-Danlos, and like other family members had it, and I had to be tested because of my heart problem and all that. And then it came out that Ethan did have it, and I had it, and Jenny's son Eric had it, and we knew that Eric had it. And then when I went to tell my family, like that Ethan had it and that I had it, and then like my sister was like, she's like, no, Eric is the only one who has it. And I'm like, it's genetic. We probably, most of us have it. Have you been tested? She's like, no, none of the other kids have been tested. And I'm like, and then she started in on me like, what kind you have or whatever. And I told her, and she's like, that doesn't even make sense. There's only 2 kinds, and all this stuff. And she told me how Eric was tested, which he was tested in 1991, which is totally different than how I was tested. Now it's a blood test. When Eric was tested, they had to cut a square out of his skin, like go way down deep into his tissue and get skin and send that off to pathology and all that stuff. It's different now. It's just a blood test now. And so she was like arguing about it, and I'm like, I'm not going to make up that we have a disability, like that Ethan has this disability, and that I was tested for it too because of my heart problem, because it can be vascular. Thankfully, mine is not vascular. But mine is, we all have hypermobility. And Ethan especially is hypermobile. And it's like, it just became like this big, I don't know. You have to understand family dynamics, I guess. But it's just annoying. I'm like, Jenny, just look it up. So then she looked it up, and she's like, oh, I didn't realize it changed. But like never an apology, never like, I'm sorry, I was wrong, never, and I even brought her paperwork from our geneticist that like we needed to find out like what kind of EDS that Eric had, so we could compare it to like what Ethan had. And because when Ethan was little, he had a bunch of sensory issues too. Eric has autism, and they think that it's related to the EDS. But like here, I have they say that I'm on the spectrum now too, and it's like, and I have EDS, and then there is Ethan, who has always had sensory issues. I've never had him tested for autism. I don't think he has autism, but I know that he had SPD when he was young, or sensory processing disorder. And so, like, he was diagnosed by his pediatrician for that, but it was like, I don't know, my family is so weird. It's like they have ownership. Like, I own this disorder. And it's like, it's so dumb. You can't own a disorder. It's like anybody could have it, you know? but that is my family. But we were discussing it in the car, and I was like, I feel like I have, ever since I was a kid, I feel like I've been picked on by mom and dad, you know, always like not being understanding about my allergies, not like, and then my sister Ann's like, well, we always felt like you were faking. And I'm like, why would I fake something like that? How am I faking when my eyes are watering and all puffy and I've got terrible rashes on my arms, you know, and everybody's just going, oh, you're fine. You know, how is that? That's just not even being sensitive to my needs at all. You know, but it's hard for someone who doesn't have any allergies to understand someone who does. You know, and now my sister Jenny now has tons of allergies. She's not able to like eat like a whole bunch of different foods. Like she had to go through all this testing because she was getting really, really sick from the food that she was eating. And they found out now she has a bunch of allergies. And I'm like, well, you know, allergies can show up anytime in life. I just happened to be one of those kids who had to deal with them. Like, and it's hard when you're a kid and you have to have steroid shots and you have to have, you know, and my parents knew that I had allergies. They just thought that allergies were not that big of a deal. You know, they didn't take in, back then, parents were different. They were more like, you know, like walk it off, or, you know, like if you got hurt, it was always like, you know, you're fine, get up, shake it off, whatever. And my parents were very much those kind of parents where, you know, if you fell down and got hurt, you know, like I really hurt my leg skiing one time when I was a kid, and I fell on a hill. I must have been in like third or fourth grade or something like that. And I fell, and no one would stop. Like, I was sitting there for the longest time, like in a lot of pain. And no, like my parents just skied by me, you know, just didn't even like, are you okay or anything? They just skied by me. Just completely ignored me. So I was sitting there and like in pain, and then like after like the third or fourth time that they came around and they saw me, they were like, oh, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah. I think so. And then they tried to get me up and they couldn't get me up, and then they ended up taking me to the hospital, to the ER, and it wasn't broke, but I did have a bad sprain, and because my ankle was all swollen and everything, and I was like, I just have always felt like I was like, I don't know, like last on everybody's list, you know, when it came to like getting my needs met as a kid. You know, like Kenny was the youngest, so Kenny got everything. Kenny was like the spoiled brat. He really was. I mean, none of us looked at him as a brat because he never had to ask for anything, so he wasn't like a kid who like whined or cried or threw a fit because he didn't get anything. But that's only because he did get everything. Like it wasn't like he had to, because like mom and dad were just if Kenny wanted it, he got it, you know. Whereas like when I was young, there was no way in heck that I got like none of us got the treatment that Kenny got, like, on our graduation parties, like, none of us were allowed to have alcohol at our graduation parties. None of us. That was just something that, like, mom and dad were, like, adamant about. No, and I was the first one to graduate. So, like, and I had to combine my graduation with Anne's because Anne graduated from college when I graduated from high school. So, or nursing, she graduated from nursing school. So, like, my cake was split in half with hers. You know, my graduation party was split in half with hers. You know, and I just kind of, like, was never like, this is mine on my own, you know. It was just like, oh, you get to share it. And, like, growing up, my birthday was always combined with Kim's too. Like, I never ever had my own birthday party growing up. It was always combined with Kim, who was my mom's best friend's daughter, who was 2 days older than me. So, like, every single birthday party growing up, it was combined with Kim's. I never had my own. And I just felt like, I don't know, when you grow up like that, where you are, like, you have to split everything. And maybe, you know, now I look at it and I'm like, was it really that big of a deal? And it wasn't, but you do get, you know, it does cause resentment. And it does cause, like, you know, like, questioning, like, why am I treated like this when nobody else is treated like that? You know, I don't know. I know a lot of other people have had it much worse than me, and I'm not saying, like, I'm not discounting, like, anybody else who grew up in, like, an abusive situation or whatever. You know, I mean, I had some awful things happen to me when I was little that didn't come from my parents. It came from, like, neighbors and things like that, you know, but it was partially due to my parents because they were kind of like, you know, but that was the time too. I mean, I can't really blame them for that either, because it was like, back in those days, you know, you just let your kids just, you know, spend the night anywhere, or just, like, play outside by themselves, you know, for hours at a time, or ride bike all over the countryside, or, you know, you just, like, it just wasn't, we didn't have cell phones, so you didn't stay in contact with your parents, you know, throughout the day. It just was something that, you know, you just lived with, you know. You called from your friend's house, like, when you got there, and it was just all that kind of stuff. And then when I was older and I worked on my grandpa's farm, then I was, like, at my grandparents all the time. Like, I was hardly ever home. But it was because, you know, I just never felt like anybody cared about me, you know. Like, no one cared that I was there. No one questioned it, you know. It was just like, I just felt like, you know, and I've always kind of lived my life that way. Like, I've never asked my parents for anything, even if I could have used it. Never. Like, that's just something that I grew up in an era where you just didn't do that. You know, you figure out your own problems. Not that they haven't offered, like my dad helped rebuild our bathroom. We paid for it. But, like, you know, and they helped pay for, you know, Hunter's lawyer when he was trying to get Esme. You know, they did that, but they offered with that. That wasn't like, Hunter did not ask them to help, you know. And I mean, we help our kids probably more than my parents did, but I don't wait until they ask either. They don't ask us. It's just kind of like, you know, we just ask them, you know, how's it going? Especially, like, during wedding time. Like, we knew tensions were high between Hunter and Jordan for a while, and we couldn't figure out why, because they're just not people that, like, argue or fight at all. And they were just starting to, like, snap at each other, and we're like, You know, it was like a couple months before the wedding. And we're wondering, like, what in the heck is going on here? So I pulled Hunter aside one day and I'm like, what is going on with you two? He's like, we're just stressed out. I'm like, what are you stressed out about? And he's like, how we're going to pay for this wedding, you know, because it ended up being way more expensive than what they thought. And so, like, you know, Scott and I helped them out. We helped Matt and Yessie out with their wedding too. Not quite as much as what we helped Hunter and Jordan out with, you know, but like the invitations had already gone out, you know, it's like, what are you going to do? It's like, you just got to like, you just got to deal with it. Sometimes you just got to deal with it. Things you don't want to deal with. You know, so we did that. And then we still pay for Hunter and Ethan's phone bill and their car insurance, which that has to end soon because that is killing us. Like, it is so expensive. Their car insurance is ridiculously expensive. It's like tripled in the past, like since 2020. It's tripled in cost. Our car insurance is more than our mortgage a month. It's ridiculous because we have 2 kids under 25 under there, even though they're married. And so that's super expensive. Like, Scott and I alone, our car insurance is not expensive at all. It's just that having the kids on, I mean, we're paying a majority. So we started having Ethan give us $200 a month, $100 for the phone and $100 to go toward the car insurance. And we started having Hunter do it too. Ethan is very good about giving it to us every month. Hunter, because he pays child support every month, he has a big portion taken out of his check every month. And then he has kids that he has to support, you know, and a wife, you know, because she doesn't make all that much money, you know, at the school. And that's like a lot of stuff. So that's like, you know, you do what you gotta do. So we really have not, we've only been paid by Hunter a couple times, but we need to like do something about it. We need to say, hey guys, you guys are old enough, you can get your own phone plans. Because we even have Jordan on our phone plan. Like, that's how bad it's gotten. Like, we're paying for all of us. And that's just nuts because our phone bill has that's also like tripled since 2020. And we can't afford it. Like, and technically, you know, my parents weren't paying for anything of mine when I was their age. You know, of course, when I was 20, I was still in college. So, like, I mean, I went home during the summer. I wasn't married yet at 20. I wasn't married yet at 22 either. So, I mean, I got married at 23 and Hunter just turned 23. So he was 23 when he got married too. But we didn't do that with Matt. I mean, Matt was on our phone plan until he moved to Arizona, and then he was on his own, and we did give him our vehicle so he could make it to Arizona. But I don't know, there has to be a time where you got to say, okay, we're pulling the plug, you know. It's just something that you got to do. You can't just keep going with it. So, well, I think that is the only process video I am going to do on this film. I don't know I want to do a couple more pages, but I don't know if I have time. So this is Corbin's 3-month in December. And I already explained what happened here. I won't go over like this until like the final flip through. Like, I just wanted to kind of like tell what was going on in those pictures. This is, Jordan took that. She has this blanket. We bought that for him. We actually bought this for Kaysen when Kaysen was born. And then Jordan forgot to use it with Kaysen. And then after Corbin was born, she found it. And she's like, oh, I'm going to use that with Corbin. So that's what she did. But I had the grandkids all weekend. And, or most of the weekend. And so it was nice that they went home on Saturday. So we could enjoy yesterday by ourselves. And we were able to do a puzzle, watch a couple movies. We watched Sixth Sense, that scary movie, and we watched Practical Magic while we were working on the puzzle. But we still have a little bit left to do to finish it up. I promised that I wouldn't touch it before he got home from work. So he's really adamant about like finishing puzzles together, or he's the type of guy who really likes to play board games and puzzles and that kind of stuff, play cards. He grew up in that kind of family, and I love that. You know, it's fun to like have someone who will actually do things with you, like, and it always has been that way. Joe was that way too, actually. Joe loved to play board games. In fact, a lot of our dates when we first were dating and we were like really poor college students were spent playing board games or inviting friends over to play board games, playing cards, that kind of stuff. We loved Scrabble. That was Joe's and my favorites was Scrabble. That was something that we brought on our honeymoon. We honeymooned in the Allegheny Mountains, like up in the Poconos, and in Pennsylvania for our honeymoon. And we brought board games with us, and Scrabble was one of them that we played on our honeymoon. And Scott and I love to play Scrabble too, and the kids do too. All of our kids love board games, so now they're more into like the funny, somewhat distasteful games that I am not like a huge fan of, you know, like Cards Against Humanity and those kind of games that are kind of like over sexualized, but we have this like pact in our family now that they're all adults. We used to neuter the deck is what we called it, and we'd go through and like pick out the ones that were like totally inappropriate when the kids were like higher teenagers and they wanted to play as a family. But then now that they're adults, we just leave them all in. It's just that you have the option of saying no, like, I'm not doing this one. Funny thing is Scott's mom, she will do all of them. She has no filter whatsoever, and she will do, it is really something else when you listen to your mother-in-law talking about like things that are like way out there, but that's just who she is. You know, she told me when Scott and I first got married that she, you know, she would, when she was young, she would go out drinking and she would be dancing on the bar. You know, she was that type of a person. So, which I could never relate to because I was never that type of a person. But, you know, over the years, you just get accustomed to people and you just kind of like, that's just who they are. And, you know, and she's not like that anymore. She's old. She doesn't do that kind of stuff anymore. But anyways, I have some things I got to do. So I will let you go, and hopefully I will film another video in the near future. So take care. Bye.